Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Lookner, here from Right Side Broadcasting Studios in Auburn, Alabama. Good to see you. We have a kind of a big day here at Right Side Broadcasting. Later on today, we're going to be carrying Sean Spicer's White House press briefing. We will have that live here at Right Side Broadcasting. Also, hopefully we'll be able to carry the State Department briefing if it happens. We will carry it if it happens. It was going to happen yesterday and it didn't happen. It's supposed to happen today. So both of those things will be coming at you at Right Side Broadcasting. We want to, and in the future too, we want to bring all these briefings to you. So this is the place to be for briefing coverage. But today, first, wanted to come on the air and give you some breaking news coverage of an important release that came out this morning by WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks released this morning a document which is the first of, they say, a series of leaks about the CIA that they are going to come out with. And basically what has happened is WikiLeaks has come across or been sent some information by people who had inside access to this information at the CIA about, well, I don't know if it's all about the CIA's hacking programs, but today was the first installment of this information. The entire trove of information that WikiLeaks has come into possession of is called Vault 7. Today's release from WikiLeaks is the first part of Vault 7, and it's called Year Zero. And Year Zero, today's release, focuses on secret hacking capacities of the CIA that the general public, you and me and everybody else out there, did not know about. Very powerful hacking tools that the CIA has developed in recent years, and some kind of possibly disturbing revelations about these hacking tools. So what I wanted to do today is just go over, kind of summarize the key points in today's WikiLeaks release about CIA hacking tools. And but you should know, if you want to read the whole document, it's actually quite readable. There's the document that summarizes the release and all of the information. So I haven't gone through all of the WikiLeaks information because according to WikiLeaks, this is like even a bigger amount of information being released today than the Edward Snowden release. So there's just a ton of information getting released today. But there is a document you can find at WikiLeaks, which is, I'm holding it up here, and it's called Vault 7 CIA Hacking Tools Revealed. I believe there's a link to this document if you go to WikiLeaks on Twitter. They have a tweet with a link to this document. And I've been going over this document in some news reports. I haven't actually gone into like the primary source material, all of the pages and pages, I want to say thousands of pages of documentation that WikiLeaks released that this is about. I'm not even sure if that's up on their site yet. It very well might be, but I just didn't go into that. I was just trying to get a handle on this morning what the basic idea of the release was and the basic points of the high points of the information in the release that WikiLeaks themselves talked about. And also these are reflected, I know a bunch of news sources had articles about it today, New York Times, Washington Post, and I've been going over those. But really this document from WikiLeaks here that you can get on their site does a good job of covering what they feel are the chief points, at least initially, to be aware of about this release. So I wanted to just spend a few minutes with you going over this stuff. I think it's a very important release. Also, I think we'll have a few minutes to be able to take your questions and comments as well. So let's just talk a bit about what this release was today that the CIA released. So this release is called Year Zero. It's part of this larger body of information, Vault 7, that they have now about the CIA and that they're going to be coming out with. So the basic idea of Year Zero is it talks about over the last few years, the CIA has developed a bunch of hacking tools to be able to gain information from computers and computer systems, and also not just other electronic devices, which we'll talk about in a second. And it's important to note this is different from like the NSA and Cyber Command. They have hacking tools as well, and those are like agencies that work for national security, and they can actually say attack other countries with their cyber weapons kind of thing. But the CIA, they're not just using. The CIA could in theory ask those agencies, the NSA and Cyber Command, to use their tools. But according to these leaks, the CIA has been developing their own tools. And some of them are extremely powerful. And that's one of the things that the leak, that this WikiLeaks release today talks about. The document talks about, and one of the things that's borne out in the actual release of information. So I'm going to go through this, and I've written down some notes on this just to make sure I give you the high points. So this is a paragraph I think is important from this WikiLeaks document. It says, recently, the CIA lost control of the majority of its hacking arsenal, including malware, viruses, trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits, malware, remote control systems, and associated documentation. This extraordinary collection, which amounts to more than several hundred million lines of code, gives its possessor the entire hacking capacity of the CIA. The archive appears to have been circulated among former U.S. government hackers and contractors in an unauthorized manner, one of whom has provided WikiLeaks with portions of the archive. And let me read one more paragraph about this release. Year Zero introduces the scope and direction of the CIA's global covert hacking program, its malware arsenal, and dozens of zero-day weaponized exploits against a wide range of U.S. and European company products, including Apple's iPhone, Google's Android, and Microsoft Windows, and even Samsung TVs, which are turned into covert microphones. Okay, so that's just a couple paragraphs, but I want to just repeat what was said. So basically, in recent years, the CIA has been secretly developing all of these hacking tools. We have malware, viruses, trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits. And just so you know what zero-day stuff is, when a zero-day hacking tool is one where it exploits a flaw in a software that even the developers don't know about. So let's say there's a flaw in Windows. And Windows people, Microsoft doesn't even know about that. That's very powerful because Microsoft can't even fix it. They don't know about it. And so somebody who knows about a zero-day flaw in Windows can basically prepare an attack that's unstoppable because the company itself can't prepare for it. Those are known as like zero-day attacks, and they're based on zero-day flaws. So part of the capacity the CIA developed is they've developed all of these zero-day weapons because they have figured out security flaws in things, according to this document, like Windows and iPhones and Android and all of these things. And that in itself is an issue, and this document talks about that because according to this document, well, let me just go there real quick while I talk about that. I want to get what this document says about this. So I'm talking about how one disturbing revelation in this is that there are a number of zero-day flaws that the government knows about, which they have kept secret. In this document, it talks about this, and it says, here's why you might think this is disturbing. According to this document from WikiLeaks, in the wake of Edward Snowden's leaks about the NSA, the U.S. technology industry secured a commitment from the Obama administration that the executive would disclose on an ongoing basis, rather than hoard, serious vulnerabilities, exploits, bugs, or zero days to Apple, Google, Microsoft, and other U.S. manufacturers. Serious vulnerabilities not disclosed to the manufacturers places huge swaths of the population and critical infrastructure at risk to foreign intelligence or cyber criminals who independently discover or hear rumors of the vulnerability. If the CIA can discover such vulnerabilities, so can others. So here's the issue. Here's this one issue. So the CIA has uncovered these flaws in various things, and I don't know the exact details because I haven't read through the documents, but the kind of things we're talking about are iPhones, iPhone operating systems, Samsung TVs, Windows computers, the Windows operating system, Android. And the CIA has uncovered these security flaws that allow them to break into the system and do stuff with it and hack it and spy on people and whatever. And according to this document, they're supposed to be letting companies know about this so they can fix this stuff. But the CIA is keeping these secrets to themselves, these secret flaws to themselves, presumably so they can develop weapons to hack into a potential terrorist's computer or iPhone or Android phone or whatever. The problem with this is that, according to WikiLeaks, this I can't think of the word. It causes a potential big danger, which is that these flaws, if the CIA can find out that there are these flaws in security in these different programs like Android and iPhone and stuff like that, and Windows, so can hackers. And so if the CIA keeps it to themselves, that stuff isn't going to get fixed because the companies don't know about it. And while the stuff is not getting fixed, maybe some other, like maybe North Korea hears about it. Maybe some evil hacker group figures out these flaws and they plan some attack. So it's possible that some attack could happen on iPhones or on Android or on Windows computers that could have been stopped if the CIA had gone public and said, hey, we figured out this flaw in Android or something, and rather than keeping it for themselves so they'd have a weapon. Now, obviously, there's motivation for the CIA to keep these flaws secret, which is that they can develop a weapon. So, they might think, hey, we want to be able to hack into some terrorist iPhones or hack into North Korea's Android phones or whatever. And that's a reason for them to keep it. But as according to the WikiLeaks document, here's where it becomes problematic. The WikiLeaks document says, after the Edwin Snowden leaks, the Obama administration made a commitment that the executive branch would disclose on an ongoing basis serious vulnerabilities, exploits, bugs, or 0 days to Apple, Google, Microsoft, and other U.S.-based manufacturers. Apparently, according to this WikiLeaks release today, that has not been happening. So that's an important point from the WikiLeaks release. Okay, anyways, so back to the general idea of the release. The general idea of this WikiLeaks release is that the CIA has been developing all of this capacity to hack into Android, iPhones, Samsung TVs, Windows, things like that, and they haven't gone public about it, and they've developed these very, very powerful hacking tools. And part of what this release does is list those different capabilities that CIA has developed, and part of what it does is talk about, part of what it does in this document that's on their site is talk about problems that arise from the CIA developing these tools. Now, let me just talk about one more tool that's kind of it's cool but it's scary. A tool that WikiLeaks talks about in their release, and that their release reveals to be the case. The CIA has developed a tool, according to this WikiLeaks release, that Samsung smart TVs, it can turn them into covert listening devices. So if you have a Samsung smart TV, it's possible for this TV to be hacked into so that even when the TV is off, it's listening to what's going on in the room and it's sending that information to somebody. So that's a pretty powerful thing. And the CIA has developed this. And so, and again, they've also developed the ability, they figured out lots of flaws which apparently the companies don't know about in things like iPhones and Android phones and Windows and stuff like that. So they've developed this powerful ability. Now, a problem that WikiLeaks points out, we just talked about one problem with this, which is that the companies can't fix these flaws if they don't know about them, and the executive branch is supposed to be releasing these flaws to the companies periodically as they find these flaws, which apparently they're not doing, according to WikiLeaks. Another problem is that it's very easy for, a couple problems. First of all, when you create hacking tools in cyber weapons, very easy for them to get stolen, much easier than, say, nuclear technology to get stolen. Because say the U.S. government knows how to build like a nuclear bomb. It's for another country to be able to do that, they don't just have to get the information, they actually have to have the technological know-how to use the information to build the bomb, and then they have to get all the material to build the bomb, and they got to build it somewhere, and it's there's costs, and there's just a lot of barriers from just getting information about building a weapon to actually making the weapon and using the weapon. But that's not really the case for cyber weapons and these hacking tools, because there's hackers in all these countries. I mean, most countries, I would assume. I mean, so especially the countries we're worrying about, especially a country like North Korea, obviously has very developed hacking capability. A lot of countries who might do something, Iran, I would assume, has advanced hackers there. So it's very easy for other countries to get this capability to use these cyber weapons and to use these cyber tools once they're made, because all they need to do is get that code. If they get that code, they can use it as well. They don't have to build anything. They have the code. And this code, it's very easy to get it, apparently. Well, I don't want to say very easy, but it is possible for it to get stolen. And one important sign of that is that this WikiLeaks release came out. So apparently, all of this stuff that WikiLeaks released today, which is detailed stuff about hacking tools that the CIA has and has developed, was obtained because there was an unauthorized spread of this information somehow at the CIA to people who shouldn't have had it, and one of those people, well, I don't know if the person who released it to the CIA was an unauthorized person or was an authorized person. But basically, there has been this unauthorized release of this information, and now WikiLeaks has it. So if WikiLeaks can get it, and somebody's willing to give it to WikiLeaks, maybe they're willing to give it to somebody else. As WikiLeaks points out repeatedly today in this summary document, governments and other entities are willing to pay lots and lots of money for cyber weapons and like cyber spying tools. I mean, and you can imagine, companies probably want. This actually mentions in this document that companies are willing to want to have these things too, to spy on other companies. But definitely, if North Korea or Iran or some other country could get a hold of a tool to cyber spy on the U.S. or a cyber weapon they could potentially use against the U.S., you could imagine they'd pay a lot for it. So given that these documents apparently are not being as tightly controlled as they should, documents, given that these hacking tools and cyber weapons are not being as controlled as they should be, they can get out there, and even authorized people, we've seen this before, even people who are authorized to have these things could be tempted to sell them to another country or another bad actor. And again, it's not like, a missile where, if North Korea wants to buy one of our nuclear weapons, it's not like somebody can pick up the nuclear weapon and carry it out easily of the building it's in or wherever. But it's so much easier these days for somebody with access to get this information and get these cyber tools and give them to somebody else, because they could have a thumb drive or, a laptop or something, or there are just ways to get this information that makes it a lot easier than it used to be to transfer a weapon from one country to another. So developing of these cyber weapons poses risks, because there's this definite possibility that they could spread to other countries, other bad actors that could use them on the U.S. So that's seen as a problem too. So it's like, again, this aspect of the problem is that the CIA is working really hard with all these people to develop these new cyber weapons. The problem with developing them, according to WikiLeaks, is once they're developed, it's hard to keep them secret. And it's easy for an authorized person or an unauthorized person who could get their hands on it to sell them to somebody else. And that poses problems, especially because they're secret. So if North Korea gets this, say the CIA has a cyber weapon or a cyber spying thing they can use with iPhones, and they don't tell Apple, so Apple never fix it. If somebody who has access to this sells it to North Korea, sells it to Iran, sells it to terrorists, Apple's not going to know it's out there, and then now the terrorists have this weapon, or Iran or North Korea, that they can use whenever they want on iPhones, not going to get fixed. So because no one knows about it in public. So these are different problems that this WikiLeaks release talks about. I want to just just go over some of the points that I highlighted here. So we have points where Julian Assange talks about the extreme proliferation risk of developing these cyber weapons and cyber spying devices. Oh, another very important point. So you might wonder, why did the person who gave this information to WikiLeaks, who gave this information, why did they give it to WikiLeaks? And this is in the WikiLeaks document, the summary of this release today. There's this paragraph. It says, in a statement to WikiLeaks, the source of the release who gave the information to WikiLeaks, the source details policy questions that they say urgently need to be debated in public, including whether the CIA's hacking capabilities exceed its mandated powers and the problem of public oversight of the agency. The source wishes to initiate a public debate about the security, creation, use, proliferation, and democratic control of cyber weapons. So, according to this document, the person or persons who gave this to WikiLeaks, who gave all this inside information about CIA hacking tools, they were really concerned that, for one, the CIA was developing capacities to hack that exceeded the powers it's been given by the government to do so. So they're worried about that. They're also worried about proliferation. So once these cyber tools are created, could they get spread to somebody who we don't want to have them? Democratic control of cyber weapons, they're worried about that, and oversight of the agency. So they're also worried about the CIA doing all this stuff in secret. The CIA, I don't know all the details of it, but obviously the CIA is very secretive, and they don't have to tell the public about what they're doing. And this source is concerned with that, and they're concerned, like, for example, if you remember back with Edward Snowden, one thing that came out in the Snowden release from WikiLeaks is that the government had ordered Verizon to record. I'm not remembering if it's the actual phone calls or just the phone call data about who was calling whom, but from basically all their users in the United States, even people who weren't suspected of anything, and there was a big uproar about that. But when it had been going on and no one knew about it. And the person who was releasing these leaks, who released this trove to WikiLeaks, was concerned about that kind of issue where the CIA is doing all this stuff and developing these cyber tools and cyber weapons and cyber spying tools, and there's not enough democratic oversight of it. It's being done in secret without appropriate oversight. So for all those different reasons, it seems that person or people released this stuff to WikiLeaks. One other important point I want to get out here. So you might be wondering, so wait, did WikiLeaks actually make all these cyber weapons and cyber spying tools public? No, not yet. That's the answer. So WikiLeaks says that in here that they redacted a bunch of stuff, and they don't, I'm no hacker and I'm not a computer expert, but so I can't, go through the code, what they released and confirm this and everything. But they said that they didn't release the actual code for these weapons. But they also said there was an interesting, there's something very interesting that Julian Assange in this document says about this, and I want to read it to you, what he says about this, because I think it's worth reading. Because it sort of suggests that maybe they will release them at some point. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find this one thing. If not, I won't read it. Yes. Yes. So just to give you a heads up on where we're at with this, or with the coverage today. So it is 11:32 a.m. Central. So it's about 12:30 Eastern right now. Very soon, we are going to end this stream and then start a stream where we switch over to pre-coverage of the Spicer press conference. So you can keep, when we end the stream, I'll give you a heads up, but we are covering the Sean Spicer White House press conference today. That will be on a different stream. So when we will be ending this stream soon, so we can have coverage of that stream and do the pre-coverage there. If there's more WikiLeaks stuff, maybe I'll do a chat about this afternoon or something like that. But full day here at Right Side Broadcasting. Oh, here's the paragraph I was looking for. So I was talking about how WikiLeaks didn't actually release the code for these weapons. And this is what this WikiLeaks document says. WikiLeaks has carefully reviewed the Year Zero disclosure and published substantive CIA documentation while avoiding the distribution of armed cyber weapons until a consensus emerges on the technical and political nature of the CIA's program and how such weapons should be analyzed, disarmed, and published. So this is quite interesting because it basically says we're not releasing the cyber weapons today, but we could in the future, if after we've discussed the pros and cons of doing so. And it also said the word disarmed in here. So perhaps I could see a world in which WikiLeaks releases these weapons to disarm them and to say we don't want people using these weapons, so we're going to release them or something. I don't know. They leave it open as to what they're going to do. So anyways, I would encourage you, if this document is actually a quite readable document. So to clarify, WikiLeaks released today this gigantic trove of information called Year Zero, and according to WikiLeaks itself, it actually says something about it. It's the largest, according to WikiLeaks, it's the largest intelligence publication in history. Also, just so you know, WikiLeaks says there's a Q&A, frequently asked questions at the back of this document. And one of the questions is, has WikiLeaks already mined all the best stories? And WikiLeaks says, no, we've intentionally not written up hundreds of impactful stories, which would come out from this release today, to encourage others to find them and so create expertise in the area for subsequent parts of the series. They're there. Look. Those who demonstrate journalistic excellence may be considered for early access to future parts. So there's this giant WikiLeaks release today. I'm assuming it's available now. I haven't even gone in and opened those documents on the WikiLeaks site. But that's all of the raw information from the CIA that WikiLeaks got a hold of. That's released. And you can go through that, and WikiLeaks themselves, it's kind of like the John Podesta emails where they just released them all at once in these giant batches, and then individuals in the public would go through them and find interesting ones and post about them. Same thing going on here with this release of CIA information. But in addition to releasing this huge trove of CIA hacking documents and information, they also very helpfully have this document again on their site, Vault 7 CIA Hacking Tools Revealed. And basically what this document does is, in very readable language, lays out what this release is from WikiLeaks today, what they think some initial key points are, why the release was done, and answer a bunch of questions you might have about it. So I would encourage you to go read that. It's not a hard read, and it's a useful read, and it's a good summary of what they think, what they were doing today, and talks about a little bit more about where this fits in with this whole larger release that they're planning a series of releases called Vault 7, and this is only the first part of that Vault 7 release. So that's right there, a summary of this WikiLeaks release today. Let me also say, I'm going to check real quick because we got to end real soon. I don't know if people wrote comments to me, but if you want to know more, if you want to have a heads up when we do breaking news coverage like this, you can both follow me. I'm at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. You can also follow Right Side Broadcasting at RSB Network. And you can subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube. And when you subscribe, click that bell, and it gives you a notification option. You can say, I want to be notified whenever YouTube or Right Side Broadcasting has a new video. Also, before I forget, I want to thank the moderators for moderating the chat, as they always do. And thank you, and thank all our loyal viewers out there. And also, in case you haven't watched this before and you don't know this, we survive on basically ad revenue and your support from donations, and the ad revenue doesn't cover anything. So we survive. Your donations help us survive. If you didn't have your donations, we would not be here able to cover stories like this, able to go to events like CPAC and the Donald Trump rallies and bring you other events live. So you are the reason that we can do this. So if you want to donate to us, we'd really appreciate it. It helps keep us in business, honestly. Easy way to do that is if you're watching us on YouTube, there's that chat window there. Bottom of the chat window, there's a little dollar sign. Just click on it and you can donate. And if you don't have a lot of money and you've enjoyed our program, even if you want to donate like $1. Honestly, if everybody who watched our broadcast like regularly, or even like once in a while, I would say if everybody who watched our broadcast once in a while donated $1, I think that would like fund us for the entire year. But I know, it's like, look, I get money is tough, so don't give us money if you don't have it. And also, it's a lot of people ask for money, so I get that. We hate asking. Hopefully, we're big enough for one day that we don't have to ask you for money. But we really appreciate it, and more than that, it does keep us in business, and it lets you bring this coverage to you. So if you want to donate, either you can click on that $sign in the chat room, or you can go to rsbn.tv/donate. Really quick, I'm just going to make sure people didn't send in messages. Okay, so a couple of you sent in messages. So let me really quickly. I got to get off the air in about 5 minutes so we can go to the pre-stream for the other thing, the pre-show for the other thing. But let me get a couple of these messages. This is from Janet Spinelli Dunn. Janet says, Steve, thank you so much for the live stream about the WikiLeaks dump today. It really helped you understand. It really helped us understand. Thank you for writing in, Janet. You're welcome. That's really the reason we wanted to do this, is because we thought this was important and we wanted to help you understand what was going on. Normally, we'd like to hear your comments about it, but we're going to have to cut this off quickly because we're going to have to go soon to the pre-show for the Sean Spicer hearing. But, after that, we're going to be doing a post-show, I believe. So anyways, if you want to, during the coverage of the Sean Spicer hearing, briefing, if you want to write in and give a WikiLeaks comment about your thought about the WikiLeaks situation and the WikiLeaks release, feel free, because I'll be on there too. Let's see, a couple more comments here. This is from Jason. Jason says, for Vault 7, if you want to point to something that corroborates it, check out this article where Vizio had to settle for spying on people. Yeah, so Jason, that's an interesting point. So Jason sent us an article. I'll tell you the headline so you can look it up. It's from Ars Technica, and the headline is, Vizio Smart TVs tracked viewers around the clock without consent. And this was this is an article about how Vizio had to pay a penalty to settle charges that it collected viewing habits from 11 million devices without the knowledge or consent of people watching them. That came out last month. So thank you, Jason. But I'll also say the stuff about the Samsung TVs from the WikiLeaks release seems even like, I don't know if worse is the right word, but even more intrusive, because according to the WikiLeaks, CIA has developed a tool which lets Samsung smart TVs record your conversations even while the TV is off. So I have a Samsung smart TV. For all I know, the CIA could be listening to my conversations even when my TV is off. I have not been talking about any kind of terrorist-related activities or anything, but it still would be disturbing to me if I found out that the CIA was listening to my private conversations while, through my TV. So thank you, Jason, for writing that in. There's one more comment here I want to get to. Boog Rose says, Steve, usually there is security behind security for highly technical bomb building, etc. It would be reckless for any formula to be stored in a single location. So it sounds to me like you're saying, Boog, if I'm getting you right, it wouldn't be possible to say, steal the plans to make a bomb the same way it's possible to steal a piece of malware or steal a virus, because the way that information is kept to say make a bomb is distributed and stuff. And I defer to you on this. So if you're right about that, I defer to you, and that would make sense certainly. So and maybe there's different parts that have to be made in a bomb. I'm sure there are, and maybe that information is kept separately. So the basic idea is it's a lot easier to steal these very powerful cyber weapons than it is to steal, physical weapons like bombs and missiles and chemical weapons and that kind of stuff. And WikiLeaks talks about that in this document today, and they're very worried about that. That's one of the reasons they say they're making this release today. Okay, real quick, let me just see if there's a couple other comments here. I think I might have gotten them all. Let me just see. Okay, so, all right, here's the plan. All right, so this is going to conclude our live stream on WikiLeaks. In a few minutes, so hope you've enjoyed it. We will bring you more WikiLeaks release news as they do it. And about 45 minutes from now, Sean Spicer is doing a press briefing live at the White House. We will be covering that. We will have the video of that. And very soon, in a few minutes, I think, I will be going on and doing a pre-show for that. We'll be talking about Donald Trump-related stuff, President Trump-related stuff. So feel free to join me for that. It's going to be in a different stream. We will tweet that out very soon. Again, if you want to follow Right Side Broadcasting on Twitter, it's at RSB Network. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. And for now, I'll just say, and please, if you want to donate and help us stay afloat and bring you coverage like this, click on that $sign in the chat room. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you, Micah and Joe and Jake, for helping get this on the air today. And thank you all for watching. That's most important. You're the reason why we do this stuff. Okay, those of you who are watching the Spicer hearing, I'll see you in a few minutes. But all of you have a great day, and thank you for joining us here for this breaking news coverage of the WikiLeaks CIA document dump.